Heard about this man. He got caught shoplifting at the grocery store. He was at court. The judge said, "Sir, I understand you stole a can of peaches. How many peaches were in that can?" He said, "5, Your Honor." He said, "All right, I'm going to give you 1 week in jail for each peach. You have 5 weeks. His wife stood up and said, "Your Honor, may I say something?" He said, "Yes, what is it?" She said, "He stole a can of peas too." I heard about this couple. They had been married for 60 years and they were sitting on the front porch together, feeling romantic. The wife said, "I remember when you used to always hold my hand." Her husband reached over and took her hand. She said, "I remember when you always used to kiss me on the cheek." He leaned over, kissed her on the cheek. She said, "I even remember when you used to nibble on my ear." He got up and started walking away. She said, "What's wrong? Where are you going?" He turned around and said, "To get my teeth." I heard about these 3 sons that left home and went out and prospered. They got back together to talk about the gifts they bought their elderly mother. The first son said, "I built Mom a big house." The second one said, "I got her a fancy car." The third son said, "Since Mom loves to read the Bible, but she can barely see anymore, I got her a specially trained parrot that can quote the entire Bible." A few months later, they received a letter from their mother. It said, "Milton, the house you built me is way too big. Gerald, the car you bought me is way too small. But my dearest Donald, your simple gift is my favorite. The chicken was delicious." I heard about this reporter. He was visiting churches across the nation. While in the Northeast, he saw this gold phone on the wall with a sign that said calls $10,000 per minute. He asked the pastor what it meant. The pastor explained that that was a direct line to heaven. If you were willing to pay the price, you could talk directly to God. He continued visiting different churches, saw the same gold phone, the same sign. When he finally made it to Texas, he saw the phone, but the sign said calls 25 cents per minute. Intrigued, he asked the pastor why it was so much cheaper. The pastor said, "You're in Texas, now it's a local call." I heard about this man that was walking on the beach. God said, "Son, you've been so faithful. I'm going to grant you one special wish." He was so excited. He said, "God, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I'm afraid to fly. So my wish is that you would build me a bridge across the ocean." God said, "Son, that's totally impossible. Think of the logistics of that. Now take some time and wish again." He said, "Okay, God, I've been married 4 times. All my ex-wives say I am so insensitive. So my wish is that I would be able to understand a woman. I want to know why they think like they think, why they feel like they feel." There was a long pause. God said, "Do you want 2 lanes or 4 lanes on that bridge?" I heard about this elderly minister. He was close to death. He sent word for 2 of his members, an IRS agent and a lawyer, to come to his house. Upon arrival, he motioned for them to sit on each side of the bed. The men were very moved that they could be with the minister in his final moments. At one point, the lawyer asked very sincerely, "Sir, why did you choose both of us?" The minister mustered up some strength and said, "Jesus died between 2 sinners. That's the way I want to go." I heard about this man that died and went to heaven. St. Peter escorted him down this long hallway filled with clocks. The hands on the clocks were all moving at different speeds. Peter explained that every person has a clock. When they sin, the clock ticks. The man saw a clock barely moving. It was Billy Graham's clock. There was another clock creeping along, Mother Teresa's clock. He said curiously, "Can I see my clock?" Peter said, "Yeah, we keep yours in the office and use it as a fan." I heard about this 92-year-old man. He wasn't feeling up to par, so he went to the doctor. A few days later, the doctor saw him out in the park with a beautiful young lady by his side. He seemed as happy as can be. The doctor said, "Wow, you sure are feeling a lot better, aren't you?" He said, "Yes, doctor, I'm just following your orders. You said get a hot mama and stay cheerful." The doctor said, "I didn't say that. I said you got a heart murmur. Be careful." I heard about these three men, a Baptist, a Catholic, and a charismatic. They died on the same day and went to heaven. St. Peter met them at the pearly gates and said, "I'm sorry, men, your rooms are not available yet." He didn't know what to do with them. He decided to ask Satan if he would keep them for a little while, and Satan reluctantly agreed. A few hours later, Satan called back, said, "Peter, you've got to come get these guys. The Baptist man is saving everyone. The Catholic man is forgiving everyone. And the charismatic has already raised enough money for air conditioning." One day, Adam was feeling very lonely. God said, "Adam, I'm going to make you a companion. It's going to be called a woman. This person will cook for you, wash your clothes. She will bear you children and never ask you to get up in the middle of the night. She will always agree with you. And if you have a disagreement, she'll be the first to admit she was wrong." Adam said, "Wow, God, what will a woman like this cost?" God said, "An arm and a leg." Adam said, "What can I get for a rib?" And the rest is history. I heard about this mother. She had two young boys that were known for their mischievous behavior. Anytime trouble occurred, they were certain to be apart. She decided to take them one at a time to see their pastor. The pastor said to the first young boy, "Son, where is God?" He sat there silently. He asked again, "Where is God?" Still no reply. The third time the pastor asked, the young boy bolted out the door, ran home, and said to his brother, "God is missing, and they think we did it." I heard about this man. He was sitting on an airplane next to a beautiful single lady. They struck up a conversation, and he asked her what kind of men she liked. She said, "Well, I like Native American men with their high cheekbones and golden tan skin. Plus, I like Jewish men. They're so brilliant and successful. And I like good old boys from the South with their long Southern drawl. What's your name?" He said, "My name is Geronimo Bernstein, but my friends call me Bubba." I heard about this group of elderly ladies. They were way up in their 80s. As they were driving down the freeway together, they got pulled over by a police officer. The officer said to the driver, "Ma'am, do you realize you're only going 35 miles an hour?" She said, "Yes, officer, I do realize that." He said, "Well, why are you going so slow?" She said, "The sign says 35. The officer kind of laughed. He said, "No, ma'am, that's the number of the freeway. This is Highway 35. By the way, why are these other ladies in your car so terrified looking?" She smiled and said, "Because we just got off Highway 95. I heard about this church service. One Sunday morning, everything was going great until a lightning bolt hit the building. After the smoke cleared, Satan himself was standing behind the podium. People panicked and ran out as fast as they could. Everyone, that is, except one woman. She sat on the front row as calmly as could be. Satan was appalled. He said, "Lady, do you know who I am?" She said, "I sure do." He said, "Aren't you afraid of me?" She said, "Not in the least bit." He said, "Why not?" She said, "Why should I be? I've been married to your brother for 30 years. I like to start with something funny each week, and I heard about this blonde lady. And you know, I'm married to a beautiful, smart, intelligent blonde. This is just a joke. But this blonde was at Target, and she saw this thermos up on the shelf. She asked the clerk what it was. He said, "That's a thermos. You've never used one of those?" She said, "No. What does it do?" He said, "It keeps things hot and it keeps things cold." The next day she showed up at work with it. Her boss said, I've never seen you with the thermos. What do you have in there? She said, 2 popsicles and some coffee. I heard about this husband and wife. They were celebrating their 60th birthdays together. An angel suddenly appeared and said God was going to grant them each one special request. They were so excited. The wife said, my request is that we'd be able to travel all over the world. And poof, when the smoke cleared, she had tickets in her hand. The husband hung his head in shame. He said, my request is that I would be married to a woman 30 years younger than me. And poof, when the smoke cleared, he was 90 years old. I heard about these 3 sisters, ages 96, 94, and 92, that lived together. One day, the 96-year-old draws a bath. She puts one foot in and stops. She hollers downstairs, I can't remember if I was getting in or getting out. The 94-year-old said, just a second, I'll come up and help you. She gets halfway up the stairs and stops. She says, I can't remember if I was going up or coming down. The 92-year-old shook her head and said, boy, I hope I never get that forgetful. She knocked on wood for good luck. Then she said, hang on, I'll come help both of you as soon as I see who's at the door. I heard about this pastor. He'd been out bear hunting all day long and searched through the woods, no sign of a bear. Finally, in frustration, he threw his gun on the ground and went to the stream to cool off. About that time, he sees this huge grizzly running toward him full speed ahead, about 100 yards up in front of him. He fell on his knees and said, God, I need protection. Please convert this bear into a Christian. Miraculously, the bear froze in his tracks, put both paws toward the heavens, and said, Lord, thank you for this food that I'm about to eat. I heard about this minister. He was driving down the road when he got pulled over by a policeman. The officer came up to the window and smelled alcohol. He saw a thermos and said, sir, what are you drinking? The minister said, just water, officer. He asked to see the thermos, and he took one sniff and said, smells like wine to me. The minister said, what do you know? Jesus did it again.